We covered the life and works of Stanislaw Przybyszewski back in episode 11, but today I am going to return to his writings once more. The Polish writer was actually a friend of artist Edvard Munch. Przybyszewski had, in fact, published an essay on Munch's work back in 1894, including a discussion of Munch's most famous painting, Der Schrei, or The Scream, a lithograph of which Munch was supposed to have given to Przybyszewski. In 1917, Przybyszewski actually published a novel titled CLIX, which came out the following year in German under the title Der Schrei, though it was largely ignored upon its German publication. The story concerns Gashtovt, a young painter living in abject squalor, obsessed with his fixed idea of drawing the perfect manifestation of the squalor and shamefulness of the street. Meanwhile, he keeps pawning off everything he possibly can as he continues to not sell a single painting, selling off most of his books and even his precious violin. At the same time, he awaits the fulfillment of the curse laid upon him by his insane mother on her deathbed, cursing him to suffer humiliation and hunger in the name of his art, among other things cursing him to have his food defiled by harpies. One night as he goes home, he sees a woman jumping off the side of the bridge into the river, something he would not normally concern himself with, but a strange inner voice commands him to save her, at the same time making him hear an utterly devastating, ear-splitting cry that all at once brings him a vision of his idealized painting of the street. He manages to save the woman, who is not very thankful and runs off while he is asleep. The next day, tortured by hunger and absolutely penniless, Gashtovt searches his whole apartment, but finds absolutely no money whatsoever. Deciding to pawn off the cursed ring his mother gave him on her deathbed in return for a good meal, he goes to a well-known seedy tavern to do so. But since he had last seen it, the place had gone through a renovation, and now seems far more reputable, but worse, the woman he saved after her suicide attempt is actually working there as a thinly veiled courtesan. Also at the same tavern he discovers a stranger with mesmerizing eyes, who seems to be able to control him. This man, who remains unnamed, forces Gashtovt into further embarrassments, further humiliations, and in the end holds him prisoner in his own home, trying to force him to paint the image of the Scream for the stranger's personal art collection, but Gashtovt had already forgotten what he had seen in the vision and cannot reproduce it. The man, among other things, also seems to be completely at ease with Gashtovt committing cold-blooded murder for the sake of his paintings, even though this does not pan out for him, as the Scream he wishes to hear again in order to revitalize his vision of the street actually does happen, but somehow Gashtovt is unable to hear it. The novel contains elements of madness, murder, suicide, and the sufferings of the starving artist, which makes it very worthy of one's time, and of being labelled as part of the fantastic. Out of all of Przybyszewski's works that I have read thus far, it seems to be the most coherent, concise, and the least etheric in terms of its writing.